Can you explain more for people who don't know?
It's waste management, city, county, and
Thank you. Janine
I'm Janine, State Health Department.
and Dietrich, can you hear us? Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you guys hear me okay?
Sure can. You're like God. You're coming from the ceiling and everywhere.
He's even got the voice.
So Dietrich and Bill are the technical advisors for the CAG group. Does anyone need an agenda? Sarah printed off and brought several copies. Are there a bunch or just eight of these two? Okay. So here, so folks can share if would, that we have several. We got one. Will you start with sharing? Okay. Steve, do you want to share? Thank you so much. All right. And then, you're good?
Brian, I'll take it as an next talk.
Okay, and does anyone need also, there's copies of the February meeting minutes and the summary? Anyone need these? Copy here. Anyone else? Okay, they'll be up here on the table. So,
Oh, Ryan?
Yeah.
Could I ask Steve, are you gonna be retiring?
Yeah.
Steve's gonna be retiring,
oh my gosh,
so do you have any idea when you're gonna retire? April 2nd?
is this your last, this is the last we'll see of you at the?
Right, I'm trying to get some of our planning folks coming my place.
Great.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Best.
And Rebecca Thomas, this was her last day at EPA, I understand, right? So,
Yep.
very sad not to have her. I also wanted to say something just because it just doesn't feel right to have this meeting without saying it and probably cry, but I just found out a very tragic thing that happened to Maggie. Rash, a CAG member today, and she lost her grandson, who's very young, 6 months old, and I know that a lot of you have been dealing with this all day today. I just heard tonight, and I just wanted to say that maybe we could just take a moment and all just like hold her in our thoughts and the family before we start. That for a moment. Maybe we could just be extra gentle with each other tonight, extra kind, extra generous, knowing that we're all. Okay, so in light of that, just a couple words about what we're doing tonight. My understanding is that at the last meeting, folks identified 3 main topics that they wanted to cover tonight's meeting. Linda Kiefer, who's the project manager for EPA, her mother or father is turning 80, and her dad, and so she's at that celebration tonight, so she couldn't be here. And so folks were saying that they would appreciate hearing from Sarah, who's the hydrogeologist for EPA, and I think all of you know Sarah, about a couple of things. One is more about the capture zone analysis and how it applies to the site. That's EPA's capture zone analysis. And I've kind of fast forward to the work session part of the agenda. The second is approaches and considerations in thinking about the monitoring well network and characterizing the groundwater plume. And then thirdly, looking at map. We started to get in a conversation last time about the plume itself, and Sarah offered that it might be more helpful, or someone offered to have actual maps and cross sections. So we're going to have more of a conversation about that technical standpoint. And that's, again, going to be in a work session format where Sarah has a bunch of information to share, but then it's going to be a back and forth dialogue as well. So that's going to be the heart of the meeting. I think at first I'll just turn to Steve and EPA for any updates they wanted to share. And I also did want to acknowledge there's been a lot of communications and requests from the CAG that I've been privy to EPA, many of which I think really need as project managers direct response and involvement. And I think, Steve, you're gonna speak to some of that as a preliminary matter maybe, but then we'll figure out how to address those issues. So I just also want to acknowledge that.
And you're exactly right. Transition, I'm here, Rebecca's having fun right now, I'm sure so. Not that this isn't fun, this is okay. This is part of what we all do here. So that said, I'm still coming up to speed on some things, but you have history, actually a fairly long history of the project. I understand there's some relatively new issues or new versions of issues that have been around for a long time. We're looking at those. That would include the gun club state wells that's going on there. A couple of other newer things related to the Tower 30 landfill, what's going on that way. And then a process issue, which is about information sharing, document sharing. And I'm happy to give a little bit of an update on those, but I prefer to do that toward the end of the meeting because I am hoping, maybe a few things related to some of those questions actually might be informed by what Sarah's talking about. So I just wanted to acknowledge that we're working on those issues. We've heard you, we've received the information. The other thing I'll just mention, we are having a separate series of meetings between EPA and CDPHE. It's primarily the core group of people, so it's myself, my counterpart, Jameson from the state, Lisa Blanca now, Linda, of course, and then Wendy Noggle from the state. Who was also retired but came back to work on a part-time basis in a technical advisor, hydrogeologist position. So she's there, and then Sarah recently. So there's a separate parallel track that we're working on to improve communication, try to have the right discussions and get to the heart of the issues that we're talking about in a while. So let you know that that's going on.
Yeah, that's really good to know, Steve, because here in the past month, we've been having trouble getting information. And it's important to us to have that information. And we're also, while you're discussing these issues, we really need you to help us to understand how this is going to work with the transparency issue. If the WSDs and the EPA, if they work on an issue, and they try and work it out before they send it to the citizens and the health department. We're having trouble understanding how that's a new kind of transparency.
Sure.
And we'd also like to know with the health department being what I call sidekick to EPA in all of this. We'd like to know if when Linda and the WSDs make a decision, yeah, this is good, so let's go ahead and release it to the public and let them comment if they want. Is that considered final? And when will the state be able to give their comments? Because what gives us confidence that this is going well is when EPA and the state together work on these issues and come to some kind of consensus about what's good or bad about the plan. And what we see happening now, it doesn't give us that confidence. If Linda and the WSD are going to work things out and they give it to us, it seems to us they've already made that decision. And they're probably pretty set on that decision. And what opportunity does that give for the state to participate in that, and what kind of an impact?
And be happy to talk about that, but that's a big part of what we've been working on in this meeting.
Okay, good, thank you.
So Steve, are you suggesting that towards the end of the meeting after the work session, that we come back to maybe just reserve a little bit of time to hear more of whatever else you want to share about those topics? And then, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
the information sharing or process part doesn't appear to be on here right now. The well testing and some other things is already on here.
Yeah, right, these are questions that have come up since. Okay, that sounds good. We'll come back to you to see if there's other things. And it might be just simply coming back to you so we can frame what the questions are, get input from all of you in terms of, interest, like what people actually would love to see and would love to hear about. And then so that Steve and Jennifer then can go back and gather the information with Sarah, with Linda. Okay, good.
So do we have only Dietrich on the phone?
Dietrich, I think we only have Dietrich on the phone.
We have Dietrich on the phone separate from this hangout. We also have somebody on the phone there on the hangout. And then we have someone else on as a video. They're watching, but they're muted.
Yeah, this is Steve Richter with Waste Management, also on the phone.
Okay, so excellent. Is there anything else in terms of updates from you all? I think before we delve into the work session, I did want to.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know I think Linda sent a copy of the third report from the WSDs, and it was in a zip drive, and I wasn't sure if, we weren't sure if people were going to be able to open and access all those documents, so I was just curious if that worked, if that was successful. She was in the current out of town, and she was trying to get that share.
It was the fourth one.
Fourth one.
It came out that way, and
Yeah.
it all went fine.
You were able to open up all
Oh,
the,
yeah.
oh, that's good news, because I know she was stressed about having to change the format around, so yay, it worked. Good, all right.
Good. And also, because Dietrich and Bill, this is really the first meeting that you've successfully been able to participate in because of the snafus last time, I just wanted to say, the way we've been doing this is when we get to the work session part of the meeting, then we go off the general video and we just have what we have considered to be more candid conversations that aren't recorded for posterity, but that are designed to promote actual communication, as much transparency as possible, and real dialogue. So that's the idea. And if people have questions that can't be answered at tonight's meeting, but are on people's minds, then what we've been trying to do is record them. I will do my best to put them on the flip chart. People hold me accountable if I'm not doing that, or that I'm not recording it accurately. And then we'll figure out how to get it on the next agenda or how to deal with it, how to address it most appropriately. So anything else that anyone wants to say about how these have been going? Okay.
Just a question. So when we go off the record, so to speak, is Dietrich still going to be able to?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, he'll at least be able to hear, right? We can just stop recording. Is that right, Janine?
Dietrich's the one on the phone.
Yeah.
The only thing that's being recorded is when he talks. But so once we stop recording, he'll still be able to talk.
Yeah. It just won't be recorded.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay, good. So I think without further ado, I'd really like to just pass this over to Sarah because I think you have prepared some sort of discussion framing for these three topics. Sure. Do you want to just?
Sure. First, I've got some site work updates from Steve Richter. That might be the other number, but maybe not, because it's a 303.
I don't know who that is.
Just an update about the water treatment plant, the pipeline from the water treatment plant to the POTW. The new 4-inch line has been completed. It's in service. They're maintaining the 2-inch line in case of emergency use. And the water treatment plant modifications that were required by the amended discharge permit have been completed. As far as injection goes, the state engineer has approved the substitute water supply plan. Aurora and Trust entered into a water purchase agreement. And for the water augmentation plan, they're meeting with Aurora. So water will not be re-injected at the site. Is the fallout of that one. The northbound barrier wall containment system evaluation. I'm going to talk about that in my presentation a little bit more in depth, but he's got here that the model construction and calibration report are undergoing agency review right now, so EPA and CDPHE at the same time. That's in early stages. And injection ceased in October, so that follow-up monitoring is still occurring, the monthly monitoring. And at the end of June is when we're looking at them looking at that history of data since cessation and analyzing it to say, okay, what can we tell from, I'm not going to do the math, I think it's like 7 or 8 months of data post injection cessation. And that'll go in a report. So as far as the 6 new monitoring wells, they've been installed, 2 shallow, 4 deeper. The 2 shallow ones were sampled for VOCs and 1,4-dioxane. So those are, one is at Gun Club Road, north of Mississippi, and one is on Mississippi, east of Gun Club Road. There were no detections in either of those wells. 3 of the 4 deep wells, one on Gun Club Road, north of Mississippi, paired with that other location, and one on Mississippi, east of Gun Club Road, and one on East Jewel. They were sampled for VOCs and 1,4-dioxane, no detections. That 4th well is very slow to recover, so that means it's not really producing water. They can't get flow to satisfy sampling requirements, quality control requirements. So, but they're looking at being able to sample that in early April. They're slug testing these wells, so that gets us a lot of information about the aquifer where they're streamed in, information about how water flows through the areas of those screens. And they're planning on doing that at those 6 new wells plus 11 others beginning this month. And I'm really excited to see that data.
Sarah, can you pause for 1 second, just because that was a lot of information? And I'm just wondering, so far, does anyone have any questions about clarification? Yeah.
How deep is deep?
So I don't have the screened interval depths, but it's like the next zone deeper. And I think that's down to like 70 or 80 feet.
80.
That deep enough?
For getting information on the 1,4-dioxane plume, yes, that detection is non-detection is relevant for being able to say, okay, this is really constrained for the 1,4-dioxane plume that we've characterized on the, or we're characterizing on the north.
And you're using the 1,4-dioxane as this visual.
So they're being tested for VOCs and 1,4-dioxane. 1,4-dioxane is the only thing in those wells, and I'll actually go into this more in my presentation, but that's the only thing coming up with detections, other than there is like a couple exceptions to that, which we can talk about too.
And so other questions to clarify anything that you just said, and that knowing that we're going to get into a lot of the substances.
So there was no detection of the dioxane in the VOCs?
No.
Also
No.
Any other clarification questions of anything you just heard so far? Because I think you have other updates. But it was a lot of information, so just, yeah.
I do want to add on to what Molly asked about. That is, unless I'm mistaken, we still don't know anything about really the extent of the plume. So we don't know how deep it is, how wide, whatever. So why is it?
I would not say that. So this, I think that once we get into my presentation and we're actually able to look at, I've got really good maps to sort of be able to visualize what we do know and where we don't know.
So, so come back to your question. Yeah.
Will there be a report then on these new wells?
That is certainly my assumption.
And polish on water, or how would they put in?
I'm gonna have to look into that. I don't have that on the top of my head.
I'm just interested in the mechanics of the installation and then the development.
I actually do have a clean copy of that work plan. And
Was that in the northern work plan?
Is that in the north end work plan?
yes,
Okay.
And Sarah, is the update that you're reading, is it something I can put in the summary just so people can refer back to?
I think so.
Okay, awesome. Tom, did you have a clarification question?
Yeah, so if you're gonna be doing more testing, there's no one for oxygen, no more VOCs now. You're using that as a triangulated area, saying that if none are found there, then there couldn't be any wells, and then any wells are not.
So my presentation today is exactly framing, laying groundwork for understanding what monitoring wells do, what they don't do, what information we gain from them. It's not correct. The monitoring wells tell us what those monitoring well locations tell us. However, how we can use that information is exactly.
So
sort of
hold
the
that, come
foundation
back to
I'm
that
looking to.
question.
So you've got, but it is supposed to be 3 wells and triangulation, kind of able to tell what might go on in.
Tom, I think you-
Is that right?
I think you need to hold your question for 1 minute because I do think that that's, your literally exact question. Hang on 1 minute and why don't you finish the updates and then we'll do the presentation because
If it sounds good, it'll just provide the stage to explore that question from. So there's only 2 more from the updates from Steve. The Mississippi wells, there was concern that work on the utility lines was, had potential to disrupt those wells. They were inspected for damage from the by the utility contractor. A couple of the NEPZ wells, which actually you have on these maps that I'll refer to later, but on the very top of the map with the satellite image, those are the NEPZ wells, just for reference, since it's handy. They were driven on top of, and it shifted the outer protective casing, and the signs were bent over. The signs were fixed, and they are considering having protective casings redone with concrete. Excel is pulling cable now and shouldn't be near the wells anymore. And then the last thing is that the second half of the 2018 status report, EPA has approved a delay in them having to submit that until April 22nd. The reason for that is this status report is going to incorporate the post-cessation monitoring and large amount of data that isn't normal to these status reports. So it's just taking longer for the person with Parsons to get it into the report form. So April 22nd is what we're looking at for that. Now.
Okay, so because it was a lot of information, I'll put that summary in the summary. I'll just insert it if that's okay, Sarah. And that came from Steve Richtl. Should I get it from you or Steve? Electronically.
You can get it from Steve.
Okay. Okay. So Sarah, how do you want to structure these 3 topics? Are you going to cover them discretely?
Yeah, kind of. Okay. I'll just walk through.
Okay.
I don't think we need any additional introduction.
Okay.
Before we get too far from the topic, can I ask a quick question? On this, which one of the wells was having the issue with recharging? What was the name of it?
I don't have that handy.
Who's that a question for? Like who has?
And second question,
Who would it have?
what is the detection limit on these for 1,4 dioxane?
I think it's the same, my understanding is same lab, so it's 0.9 micrograms per liter. Method detection limit.
Is that the MDL or is that the PQL?
Both.
I thought the MDL was 0.35.
That's the state groundwater standard.
No, that's also the minimal detection. It wasn't, how can it be both? Because the PQL is up here. That's where you know the detection of 1,4-dioxane is present and you know what quantity is. The MDL is down here where you know it's present, you can't tell how much. In between, you still can't tell how much, but you know it's there.
It's 0.15.
Is the analytical detection.
MDL.
MDL is 0.15. So you're testing for the MDL too?
Are you asking?
The 0.15.
My understanding is that they will return data in between with the J flag as usual. That's my understanding.
Okay.
Is the J flag an estimate, is that?
Yes.
Is this part of the work session or is this part of the meeting to be recorded?
We're starting the work session now.
Just as a clarification from that question, when you say non-detect, are you saying it's about 0.9? Or it's about the reporting limit, which I assume the NDL is the same thing, of 0.15?
So we need to confirm this with the WCs. We haven't seen this report yet. I assume that when they're saying non-detect, they mean below 0.15 micrograms per liter. That would be consistent with how it's been reported.
Yeah,
Sarah,
I just want to use typically,
you are correct, less than 0.15.
okay. So if it's J flag, would it be between the reporting limit and the detection limit? Which would be something below 0.15?
0.1, below 0.15 would register as just a non-detect, is my understanding. If it's
Okay.
0.15 or above, they'll report it with a J flag, up to 0.9. And I would
And it may
assume,
be a better discussion, not a public forum, but there's between a detection limit, a reporting limit, and a PQL. And if the J flag is using for something between a method detect with your PQL and the reporting limit to make the assumption the NDL is the reporting limit, that would be a unique use. It's usually the difference between a detection limit and a reporting limit.
It's, I personally, I know that we've had conversations in the past about these about terminology, but it's so complex. And I just wonder if we could use, just apropos of what Dietrich said, another discussion about these, what we're talking about. Do you all agree? Okay, I'm seeing nodding heads, and so I'm thinking it should go on a meeting agenda. Thank you for raising that.
and I think the point that Dietrich and others are asking about is when they say non-detect, what do they mean? And I think we need to confirm that. We haven't seen the follow-up report. I would assume that they are talking about below 0.15.
Do you want to say that we're going off recording now?
Okay, so we're going to go into the work session now. So we're going to stop recording the meeting, and we're just going to have it be for folks who are listening.